Let's take a look at the Ravenswood and Dutch Kills neighborhoods of western Queens. Both were villages along with Hunters Point, Sunnyside, and Astoria that joined to form Long Island City in 1870. So today, most of the current residents of Ravenswood and Dutch Kills call their neighborhood Long Island City. The borders of Dutch Kills are 36th Avenue to the north, Northern Boulevard to the east, 21st Street to the west, and Queens Plaza to the south, although some people consider this area in here down to about 44th Drive also Dutch Kills. In 1642, licenses were granted to some Dutch citizens to settle in this area, which became known as Dutch Kills. Kill is a Dutch word meaning stream, and so there were streams and what are called tidal inlets here. What we see here is a millstone which was used to grind flour and corn. It was powered by the water of a tidal inlet. Now the grist mill from which these millstones come from was operated for over 2 centuries, about a block from here at 41st Avenue. The first mill was founded in the mid-1600s by a German immigrant and was in the area for over 2 centuries, until demolished in 1861. The official version is that this millstone is from the 19th century. Others believe it is the original millstone from the 1600s, and if so, it would be the oldest artifact in the city of New York. Well, we're here on 44th Drive, in what some call Hunters Point, some call Dutch Kills. But this nondescript block is where Amazon was going to build its East Coast headquarters. The backward-thinking politicians killed the deal, and so this block will probably remain for many years looking like it does now. Well, here on Vernon Boulevard, we see the New York Architectural Terracotta Company office. There was a large terracotta plant right behind the offices. It's long gone. But this building here dates from 1892. And the company made the terracotta ornamentation for dozens and dozens, maybe hundreds of buildings throughout New York City. As you see, the office is all closed up, and supposedly they're restoring it, but they've been restoring it for umpteen years now, so we'll see if it ever opens again, as far as a museum or whatever. The Queensboro, or 59th Street, or Ed Koch Queensboro Bridge, opened in 1909, one of the great bridges of New York. Another symbol of a bygone era, here we see Silver Cup Studios. In the old days, it was Silver Cup Bread, and it supplied bread all over New York City. And when you drove across the 59th Street Bridge, the smell of the bread baking was intoxicating. Well, here we see the Queensboro Bridge looking west towards Manhattan. We're at Queens Plaza. The opening of the 59th Street or Queensboro Bridge brought an influx of people and industry to Queens. And then in 1917, the subway came to Queens. Here we see the Queensboro Plaza station of the elevated subway. Today it serves the number 7 Flushing line and the N and the W trains of the Astoria line. This is the Brewster building from 1910. The Brewster Company, they originally made horse-drawn carriages. Later on they assembled Rolls Royces, which they brought over as parts in pieces from England. Now it's the headquarters of JetBlue. And surrounding Queens Plaza, all these new commercial and residential buildings. It's one stop on the subway to Manhattan from here. And we can see the Flushing train coming in now. We have the 7 train, the N and the W on the elevated tracks. Down below is the IND trains to Manhattan. Underground is the Queens Plaza station of the E, M, and R trains of the IND division, which opened this line in approximately 1940. And it goes all the way out to Jamaica. There's the N train on its way to 59th and Lexington. It's making a stop at Queensboro Plaza before entering the tunnels under the East River. Now there are many hotels in the area. Well, here's St. Patrick's Roman Catholic Church in Dutch Kills. And this building dates from 1898. The southern border of Ravenswood is the 59th Street Bridge, 21st Street on the east, up to about 31st Avenue on the north, and the East River on the west. We're at the southern end of Ravenswood, looking north. You can see the East River and Roosevelt Island behind it. There's Big Alice, the power plant. And there's Queensbridge houses, which some people consider as a separate little community of Queensbridge. Ravenswood was first settled by the Dutch when Captain Francis Finn acquired Roosevelt Island, which we see right in front of us, and a strip of land facing it, on this side in Queens, in 1651. Sometime in the 1800s, a prominent clergyman introduced the name Ravenswood in honor of his friend, John Ravenscroft, Episcopal Bishop of North Carolina, and the name stuck. In the early 1800s, the land along the shore of the East River was acquired and developed by Colonel George Gibbs, a New York City businessman. After his death in 1833, the land was divided into 9 estates, and from 1848, there were mansions along the shore. In 1875, the first commercial buildings were erected, and the mansions eventually became offices and boarding houses. By 1900, Ravenswood was highly industrialized. But over the next 75 years or so, most of the industry left and is now mostly residential. Here we see Queensbridge houses. Well, we're in the center of Queensbridge houses. Opened in 1939, consists of 26 six-story buildings, over 3,000 units. It was the largest housing project in the country, and it may still be. Well, maybe the best-known product of Queensbridge houses is Ron Artest, who played basketball for many years in the National Basketball Association. Here we see the Ravenswood plant of Con Ed, also known as Big Alice, as it was manufactured or put up by the Alice Chalmers Company years ago. And smokestacks. At least one of them is about 500 feet in the air. And this plant supplies, I think, about 25% of all the electricity in the city. We're in Rainey Park, between Vernon Boulevard and the East River. The park is named for Dr. Thomas Rainey, a prominent physician of Ravenswood. Even before the construction of the Brooklyn Bridge, Dr. Rainey promoted the idea of a bridge to Manhattan right from here in Ravenswood across the East River to approximately 79th Street in Manhattan. He spent lots of time and lots of money trying to get a bridge built here. Finally, at the turn of the century, Dr. Rainey's efforts paid off as the city approved the construction of a bridge, but not here. There's the Queensboro Bridge about a mile to the south, behind the bridge in the foreground, which is the bridge to Roosevelt Island. But the city did not forget Dr. Rainey. He was there on opening day of the bridge in 1909 and was one of the first ones to cross it. And the city acquired this area and named it Rainey Park, which opened in 1912. Well, here's a surprise for the neighborhood. These late 19th century sandstone facaded buildings, 2 stories. Most of the buildings here are of brick, and earlier in wood, which are now have siding. But here we see something unusual for the area. Well, another example 19th century architecture, another sandstone facade, 2-story building here on 9th Street in Ravenswood. And here's another sandstone facaded building in Ravenswood. Here's the Isamu Noguchi Museum on Vernon Boulevard. Noguchi was a sculptor, furniture designer, and landscape architect, one of the most influential artists of the 20th century. And he had his studio here in Ravenswood. It's an interesting museum displaying many of Noguchi's works. Great place to visit. Well, here we see the Sommer Piano Factory from about 1886. And I don't know what year it went out of business, but the building remained, and today it's apartments. We're here at Socrates Sculpture Park between Vernon Boulevard and the East River. We're right on the East River. As you can see, there's the park. The park opened in 1986, and it features large sculptures. Well, there's very little on display now, and I think it's because of the current conditions. Well, this seems to be the only piece that we can see. Well, they may be getting ready for a new installation right here. Well, the pandemic has slowed things down, and so sort of between installations, and I'm told not until August will there be some new sculptures around. Well, there is a small work here. Interesting. And the sculptures come and go. They bring in new ones all the time. So you never know what you're going to see here.